Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our live session here in Casa Spanish. Buenos dias. Good morning. My name is Carlos, and I'm your Spanish as a foreign language teacher. I hope you're having a great weekend, and you're having a great week so far as well. Today we're going to be working on our vocabulary, and the topics are starting to get a bit niche, which is a good thing because now we are exploring vocabulary which is not very common. So today we're going to be talking about water and bodies of water, everything related to liquids and the places where we can find them and see them. So thank you and welcome back. Thank you for giving us some of your time. How was your week? What do you do? As you know, today, well, if you didn't know, I told you in class, this week was a Mexican Independence Day. So I went to Waterloo, to have a little party with some Mexican friends. It was fun, and we did see the queue, the famous queue, la fila, la cola, muy larga. And I think now people are waiting like 12 hours to get in Westminster. But yeah, it was very interesting to see. So, good morning. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. So, what we're going to do, we're going to go through the list of the words that we're going to be working on. And so we can check pronunciation as well. And then I will explain to you what we're going to do. So, let's go. What we'll do is, as I said, is bodies of water or agua, everything related to water. And this is our vocabulary for today. I will read it so you will remember when you need to give me the answer. El río, el lago, el estanque. Important pronunciation here with que, el estanque, el océano, el mar, el charco. I like this word, charco. Let's move on. La laguna, la cascada, el arroyo, el manantial, el geyser, la turbera. I like this word turbera because it's not common, of course, to use it in Latin America and Spain for that matter, because it's more a glacier kind of a place. I mean, that's the origin. So, but here you have it, la turbera, bog, of course, in the UK we can find them. El golfo, el pantano, el estrecho. Good. Now, artificial bodies of water, we have la presa, el pozo, el puerto, el canal, la piscina, el embalse. Good. So remember the difference, presa y embalse. Presa has this kind of like wall, concrete wall, and embalse probably, which just looks like a lake, but it's artificial. Nice. And I also added some words related to weather. For example, la lluvia. Remember that sound, lluvia or lluvia. La lluvia, el granizo, la inundación, la tormenta, el huracán, el tornado, la nieve y la tormenta de nieve. So these are the words we're going to be working on and are the ones that you will find in the crossword. There might be a couple that are in there, but this to push you a little bit in order to practice your vocabulary. Excellent. So let's go see our crossword. Let's go there. Here we have it. And number one is going to be the following. Remember, like I'll give you the number one so we can start using the letters. If you know the answer, please use the chat to provide it. You can use English, you can use Spanish, because remember that we're also practicing comprehension. I will give you the definition in Spanish, and then you will tell me what the answer might be. Okay. And of course, if you want to get access to the list that we have just read, I will give it to you in the chat right now. So you should have it available, and you can go to the list, to try to find the word we are working with. Excellent. All done. Let's commence. So number one, gran porción de mar que se interna en la tierra entre dos cabos. So I'll give you the first one. So we kick off. That would be el Golfo. El Golfo. We have a lot of examples. There's one in Mexico, which is very big, el Golfo de México. Seguimos. Ok. Uno. Agua congelada que desciende con violencia de las nubes, en granos más o menos duros y gruesos, pero no en copos como la nieve. So, it's agua congelada, pero no es nieve. Desciende violentamente. Agua congelada que desciende con violencia de las nubes, en granos más o menos duros y gruesos, pero no en copos como la nieve. So what is our answer here? It's something about agua congelada, but it's not snow, and it comes down violently. How do we call this word? And of course, as you can see, it starts with a G. Very important word because, well, we have it here in the UK and in Europe in general, in Mexico as well, actually, I've seen it. So this word is granizo, el granizo, hail. That is our first answer. Moving on, let's do number two. Here it is. Number two. Extensión de agua salada más pequeña que un océano. Extensión de agua salada más pequeña que un océano. What do we have? Extensión de agua salada más pequeña que un océano. Three-letter word, and the last letter is an R. Now, I really like this word because we have said before in class that actually it could be feminine, but it could also be masculine. Do you remember the word for the extensión de agua salada más pequeña que un océano? We have the muerto, we have other Caspio. Good morning, Jean. Good to see you. And this is the mar. Muy bien. Good morning, Nina. Thank you for joining us. And that is it. That is correct, is the mar. So, and if you remember in lessons, we have said that mar could be feminine and it could be masculine. As a general rule, the standard would be masculine, el mar. However, if you want to give it some poetic vibe to it, we can say la mar as well. Good. Muy bien. Seguimos. Número 5. We have an E towards the end. So use it. Agua que cae de las nubes. El agua que cae de las nubes. How do we call this water? Cayendo de las nubes. We need a paraguas, when we see it. We need un rompevientos. How would we call the water falling from the sky? I know that you know the verb, but let's find the noun. And we have Carolyn. Good morning, Carolyn. Good to see you. And that is a correct answer. La lluvia. Excelente. Muy bien, Carolyn. Seguimos con el número 3. Nos vamos número 3. There is an U as the second letter. Use it. Viento muy impetuoso y temible que, a modo de torbellino, gira en grandes círculos, cuyo diámetro crece a medida que avanza, apartándose de las zonas de calma tropicales, donde suele tener origen. Entonces, so we have a viento muy temible, a very frightful wind and very violent, but en las zonas tropicales, in the tropics. So how do we call this? And we have an U as the second letter. Viento muy impetuoso, gira, it turns in circles and it grows as it advances. What do we have? Muy bien, Carolyn. That is our answer. El huracán. El huracán. And remember that silent H for huracán. Excelente. Seguimos. Muy bien, Nina. Es el huracán. Vámonos con el número 7. Let's go. 7. There is an A as the last letter. Let's go. Muro grueso de piedra u otro material que se construye a través de un río, arroyo o canal para almacenar el agua a fin de derivarla o regular su curso fuera del cauce. I know, a lot of words, but I'm sure you understand the big picture, the context. Muro grueso, so a thick wall de piedra u otro material que se construye a través de un río, arroyo o canal para almacenar el agua a fin de derivarla o regular su curso fuera del cauce. So we have a river, tenemos un río, we put a wall in order to stock that water. How do we call that wall and that body of water created by it in Spanish? Do you have an idea? How do we call this? Let's go. I'll give it to you. We call it a presa. Una presa, a dam. That is our answer. Magma, good guess, Nina, but no, this would be a presa. And of course, it's a feminine word, la presa. Continuamos, vámonos con el número 8. So número 8, we have, the first letter is an E. Depósito artificial en el que se almacenan las aguas de un río a fin de utilizarlas en el riego de terrenos, en el abastecimiento de poblaciones, en la producción de energía eléctrica, etc. So very similar to the first one. The first one we're talking about the wall, right? But here we're talking about the body of water. Sometimes it looks like a lake, but it's not a lake, it's an artificial lake. So how do we call this? Depósito artificial en el que se almacenan las aguas de un río a fin de utilizarlas en el riego de terrenos, en el abastecimiento de poblaciones, en la producción de energía eléctrica, etc. Any idea? Remember that you have your list of vocabulary. I provided the link if you want to use it again. And if not, and if you know it, the word in English is fine as well. You can type it down. So in this case is el embalse. El embalse, the reservoir, where we can find water in order for... Muy bien, Carolyn, el embalso. Excelente, el embalse. Muy bien, continuamos. Número 11. 11, and we have an E there, an E. So use it. Okay. Fuente termal intermitente en forma de surtidor. So, fuente termal intermitente. So, it comes off and on, en forma de surtidor. How do we call this hoyo en el suelo con mucho calor y sale vapor. Fuente termal intermitente en forma de surtidor. Excelente, Carolyn. Esta es nuestra respuesta. Es un geyser. Geyser. Muy bien. Seguimos. Vamos con el número 10. 10, there is an S as the second letter. Seguimos. Depósito de agua construido para criar peces, realizar deportes náuticos o para mera ornamentación. Depósito de agua construido para criar peces, realizar deportes náuticos o para mera ornamentación. So how do we call that little lago que ponemos en jardines como ornamento, como decoración? How do we call that? Let me see. Jean, embalse, that's the correct answer for the last one. That's excellent. And Carolyn is giving us the answer for this. El estanque. Excelente, chicos. El estanque. Muy bien. This is our answer. And pronunciation, of course, that que, very important towards the end. El estanque. Continuamos. Vámonos con el 11. Let's do 11. Where is it? Oh, 12, actually. Yeah. 10. Here it is. Depósito de agua. Oh, we have this. 12. Depósito de agua menor que el lago. Depósito de agua menor que el lago. How do we call this? There was a famous movie called La Azul with Mel Brooks. And also, normally, actually, we find it in the sea. It looks like a lake inside the sea or very close to the sea. It's salt water, actually. It's made of salt water. Y es más chico que un lago, and we have an A as the second letter. So, I mean, because we're talking about lagos and la, the first letter is going to be L, la. But how do we call this other option? Excellent, Carolyn. Muy bien. La laguna. La laguna. Muy bien. Seguimos. Nos vamos con el número 9. This one here, long one, and the last letter is A. So that's your clue. Let's go. Construcción que contiene gran cantidad de agua y que se destina al baño, a la natación o a otros ejercicios y deportes acuáticos. Construcción que contiene gran cantidad de agua y que se destina al baño, a la natación o a otros ejercicios y deportes acuáticos. So how do we call this place where we go swim? Normally. Construcción que contiene gran cantidad de agua y que se destina al baño, a la natación o a otros ejercicios y deportes acuáticos. Tenemos muchos tamaños, a veces son pequeñas para niños, muchas veces son grandes como tamaños olímpicos para realizar diversos deportes. ¿Qué tenemos? So how do we write this word? I'm sure you know it. In English, it's quite short, but in Spanish is long. Muy bien, Nina. That is the correct answer. La piscina. La piscina. Excelente. Seguimos. Número 9, horizontal. Short word. Finally, we have a short one. And the first letter is P. P. Perforación que se hace en la tierra para buscar una vena de agua. So, perforación que se hace en la tierra para buscar agua. So how do we call this? This is a masculine word, and the first letter is P. very common to have them in some houses in Mexico, especially in the countryside. I wonder if in the UK also you have this perforación que se hace en la tierra para buscar una vena de agua. So how do we call this hole on the ground? You put your bucket down and then you bring water out of it. Tenemos a Nina, la poza, very, very close. This one is masculine, and this will be the pozo, Nina. Muy bien, el pozo, el pozo. La poza actually is very similar to estanque, a pond, or a very, very small lake. But in this case would be el pozo. Así es, Nina, correct. That's great. Muy bien, Carolyn, as well. Pozo. Excelente, chicas. Buen trabajo. Seguimos. Vámonos con el cuatro. So, cuatro down, and the last letter is O. Extensión de agua salada que cubre las 3/4 partes de la superficie terrestre. Extensión de agua salada que cubre las 3/4 partes de la superficie terrestre. So we have, as an example, we have el Pacífico, el Atlántico, el Ártico. What do we have here? How do we call these big extensions of salty water, of salt water? Pacífico, Atlántico, Ártico. Of course, we have our answer, el océano. El océano. Excelente, Carolyn. Well done. Jean, that is correct, Jean, from the last one, pozo, and very, very good typing of that Z, and is masculine. So very good, Jean. And continuamos. Nos vamos con el 6. 6 horizontal. It starts with C. So use it and let's go. Cauce artificial por donde se conduce el agua para darle salida o para otros usos. Hay muchos en Venecia y Ámsterdam. Cauce artificial por donde se conduce el agua para darle salida o para otros usos. Hay muchos en Venecia y Ámsterdam. So we have them in Venecia, we have them in Amsterdam, we have them in London as well, in Camden Town. They are very famous ones. How do we call this cauce artificial por donde se conduce el agua para darle salida o para otros usos? What do we have? How do we call this? Muy bien, Carolyn. That is our answer. Es el canal. Remember that pronunciation, chicas. Canal, because in English that vowel kind of changes, but in Spanish you have to be that strong A. Canal has to be clear, is an A. And Nina, we have canal. Excelente, Nina. Muy bien. And let's continue. We have some more words to cover. 14. Let's go to number 14. We have an U as the second letter. Área de terreno de lodo húmedo y pantanoso, generalmente de origen glaciar. So this is the one I was telling you about. I'll give you this one because it's not easy in Spanish and in English it's quite short. In English we call it a bog, una turbera. Área de terreno de lodo húmedo y pantanoso, generalmente de origen glaciar. So that is the key word, glaciar, la turbera, la turbera. Now, 13. We have an A as the second letter. Let's go. Terreno hundido de fondo más o menos cenagoso y abundante vegetación, donde las aguas se estancan de forma natural. Now, this word, it is important because we can find them in a lot of Spanish-speaking countries. Terreno hundido de fondo más o menos cenagoso y abundante vegetación, donde las aguas se estancan de forma natural. We have a very famous one in Florida, the Everglades. So you have this terreno, this piece of land, and it has water that stays there naturally. So it's very muddy, and we have a lot of animals actually, depending on that ecosystem. And how do we call it? Excelente, Nina. Muy, muy bien. This is el pantano. El pantano or the wetlands or a marsh as well. Carolyn, excelente. El pantano. Muy bien, chicas. That's not an easy word, and you nailed it. Excelente. Nos vamos con el 18. 18. A. There is an A towards the end. Caída desde cierta altura del agua de un río u otra corriente por un desnivel brusco del cauce. Caída, fall. Caída desde cierta altura del agua de un río o de otra corriente por un desnivel brusco del cauce. What do we have here? Nina is saying, tiene mucho en mi pueblo. Oh, in your town, you have a lot of pantanos. I see. Yeah, actually, I have seen pantanos here in the UK. I really like them, to be honest. I really like ecosystem because where I grew up in Mexico, there are also a lot of marshes. So it reminds me a bit of home, like this beautiful piece of land that that you cannot step on. I really, really like it. Good. So how do we call this caída de agua, this fall of water? Jean, excelente, Jean. This is the answer. La cascada. Muy bien. La cascada. That other word in English, like cascades, as in, we use it more for a verb, don't we? Muy bien. Cascada. Seguimos con el número 13. Veamos. 16. 16. Let's do this one. 16. We have an A in the middle. Agua u otro líquido estancado en un hoyo del terreno o sobre el piso. Agua u otro líquido estancado en un hoyo del terreno o sobre el piso. Children, they love to saltar encima de ellos, to jump on them, especially if they're wearing the botas de goma, botas de lluvia. So how do we call this? Agua estancada, that stays, en un hoyo, in a hole, en el terreno o sobre el piso. Después de la lluvia, tenemos muchos en la ciudad o en el campo. And I really like this word. I think it sounds really nice and kind of funny. I mean, all these kind of words that have the CH, I like them for a reason. Muy bien, Nina. That is our answer. El charco. El charco or puddle. El charco, and of course, a masculine word. Seguimos. Excelente trabajo. Nos vamos con el 19. 19, short one. We have an R as the first one. Corriente de agua continua y más o menos caudalosa que va a desembocar en otra, en un lago o en el mar. Corriente de agua continua y más o menos caudalosa que va a desembocar en otra, en un lago o en el mar. Muy bien, Carolyn. And we have el río. Excelente. The river. El río. Seguimos. 15. Another short one. And the last one is O. Agua convertida en cuerpo sólido y cristalino por un descenso suficiente de temperatura. Agua congelada. Now, this is not in the list, but I want you to try for this one. Agua convertida en cuerpo sólido y cristalino por un descenso suficiente de temperatura. Agua congelada. How do we call the frozen water? And when you are having a drink and you want it to be cold, what do you ask for? What is that word? when we put, water in the freezer, and then we have what? And the last letter is O, and of course, it's a masculine word. So please, what is the answer? Very important when you go, to a restaurant or to a bar in Spain or Latin America. Can I have a little bit of what? Agua convertida en cuerpo sólido y cristalino por un descenso suficiente de temperatura. Agua congelada. Y Nina is giving us the structure. Muy bien, Nina. Es el hielo. Hielo. Muy bien. Con H, remember that is silent. Hielo. Excelente, Carolyn. Yellow. Jean, and that is the correct answer for the last one. I think your connection is a bit slow, Jean, but thank you. Thank you for giving me the answer. That's correct. And Luna is giving us the answer as well. Hielo. Muy bien. Welcome and good morning, Luna. Let's move on to number 17. 17. Here we have it. That's a long word, okay? But the second one is an S, so we got a little help. Why not? Paso angosto, comprendido entre dos tierras y por el cual se comunica un mar con otro. A. Paso angosto, comprendido entre dos tierras y por el cual se comunica un mar con otro. So we have very famous ones for this. One is Bering, the other one is Suez, and also we have it in Panama, and well, that would be a canal. No, Panama is not a good example, but it's a paso angosto comprendido entre dos tierras y por el cual se comunica un mar con otro. How do we call this? Oh, yeah, and of course, I mean, the one we have between the UK and France, we also call it this way. Any ideas? Muy bien, Nina. Excelente. Es el estrecho. El estrecho. The straight. Excelente. Seguimos. Nos vamos con el número 20. Here we have two letters. We have an R and we have an O. Lugar en la costa o en las orillas de un río que por sus características naturales o artificiales sirve para que las embarcaciones realicen operaciones de carga y descarga, embarque y desembarco. So, literally, lugar en la costa, so somewhere on the coast, a las orillas de un río, que por sus características naturales o artificiales sirve para las embarcaciones realicen operaciones de carga y descarga, embarque y desembarco. And Nina is giving us the answer again. Excelente, Nina. Es el puerto. Very interesting that it can be natural and artificial as well. That's an interest information. Muy bien, Nina, giving us the article as well. Continuamos, nos vamos con el número 21. Here we have it. And then we have a C towards the end. El mar tiene agua salada. That should be D. El mar tiene agua salada. Los lagos y ríos tienen agua. Interesting and important one. So if the water from the sea, we call it salada, how do we call the water from los lagos, los ríos, los estanques? In English, it's fresh, but remember that translations not always work. How do we call this in Spanish? Agua salada y agua. So Lynn, good morning, Lynn. Good to see you. So Lynn is betting for fresca, which, I mean, of course, I mean, that would be the first word that comes to mind because of English, right? Fresh water. Carolyn is also betting for fresh water. But Nina is giving us the answer. In Spanish, we say agua dulce. El agua dulce, that would be fresh water. Or literally, it means like sweet water, right? But that is our vocabulary. Muy bien, Nina. Seguimos, nos vamos con el número 22. There is an O at the end. Let's see what we have. Gran masa de agua, normalmente dulce, acumulada en depresiones del terreno. Gran masa de agua, normalmente dulce, acumulada en depresiones del terreno. So, how do we call this? We have been mentioning quite a lot. Muy bien, y este es el lago. El lago. Excelente. Seguimos. 23. We're about to finish. 23 starting with A. Oh, here it is, so you can see it better. Corriente corta de agua, casi continua. Es muy similar a un río, pero muy pequeñito. Es un río muy pequeñito. How do we call this? Corriente corta de agua, casi continua. It's not as long as a river, and it's really, really small. How do we call this? Starting with A. Interesting word because it changes completely in Spanish. And we have a double R and we have a Y as well. Muy bien. Excelente, Carolyn. El arroyo. Excelente, Jean. Muy bien. This is a tricky word. So well done. El arroyo. Continuamos. Nos vamos con 26. No, 24. Here it is. 24, there is an O as the second letter. Perturbación atmosférica violenta acompañada de aparato eléctrico y viento fuerte. Lluvia, nieve o granizo. So, perturbación atmosférica violenta acompañada de aparato eléctrico, viento fuerte, lluvia, nieve o granizo. So how do we call this is related to weather, of course, you know, when you have a lot of rain, a lot of snow, or a lot of hail. Muy bien, Carolyn. Esta es nuestra respuesta. La tormenta, the storm. It could be, you know, lluvia o nieve, granizo. Muy bien, Jean. La tormenta. Nina, una tormenta. Muy bien. Excelente, chicas. Seguimos, vamos con el 26. We have an O as the second letter. Viento, muy impetuoso y temible, a modo de torbellino, gira en grandes círculos, muy común en zonas planas de Estados Unidos. Viento muy impetuoso y temible que, a modo de torbellino, gira en grandes círculos, muy común en zonas planas de Estados Unidos. So it's very similar to hurricane, the one we said we did before, huracán, but in this case is in zonas planas, like on the plains in Estados Unidos, in the USA. Very common there. It can happen anywhere in the world, but there they're quite famous. How do we call? Excelente, Jean. Muy, muy bien. Buena respuesta. El tornado. El tornado. Aquí lo tenemos. Nina giving us the answer as well. Excelente, chicas. Continuamos. Nos vamos con el número 25. Ooh, and we have a long word. We have 3 left. So let's do this one. 25. Lugar donde brota o nace el agua de forma natural. Lugar donde brota o nace el agua de forma natural. And look at it, we have an M and we have an N as the third letter. So how do we call this place, you know, where the water is born, where the water is at its purest? What? And this would be a masculine word, lugar donde brota o nace el agua. And Jean is giving us the answer again. Excellent, Jean. Nina as well. El manantial. El manantial, the spring. Excelente, chicas. Muy bien. Continuamos. Let's do 27. We have an N towards the middle. Cantidad excesiva de agua. Desastre natural. You know, when it rains a lot, cuando llueve mucho, los ríos desbordan y causan, ¿qué? Un desastre natural, cantidad excesiva de agua. How do we call this? In English, it's short. In Spanish, it's a long word. And when we have too much water, you know, and it destroys houses and towns, even sometimes. Cantidad excesiva de agua, desastre natural. And it's a feminine word, this one, ending in N. Any idea? Do we know this one? I know this one is tricky. It tends to be forgotten actually. But Jean is giving us the answer. Muy bien. La inundación. Well done, Jean. La inundación. This is a tricky word because it's very long and quite different from English. Lynn is giving us the answer as well. La inundación. Excelente. Well done, girls. And now we're gonna do the last one. Here we go. 28. Starting with N. What do we have? Agua helada que se desprende de las nubes en cristales sumamente pequeños, los cuales, agrupándose al caer, llegan al suelo en copos blancos. One more time. Agua helada que se desprende de las nubes en cristales sumamente pequeños, los cuales, agrupándose al caer, llegan al suelo en copos blancos. And this is the answer, Caroline. Muy bien, la nieve. Jean, la nieve. Nina is telling us granizo, which is it's quite similar, but the key word here would be copo. So I would like you to get that word from here today. Copo, it's a snowflake. It's a flake. So that's the way we call it. Copo, a flake. And of course, girls, the answer, as you are telling me, is la nieve. La nieve. And it's a feminine word. Important to say it because it ends in e. So sometimes these words we cannot know. And guess what? That is it for today with our vocabulary. So remember, if you want to access again the vocabulary, you have it in the chat. Here I'm sending the link again. So you know you can go back to it and you can check the words that you learn or the words that you would like to keep. And of course, thank you again for joining us. If you have any suggestions in topics, as I said, now we're getting a bit more niche with the topics. I mean, today I think was really interesting and useful because, well, this vocabulary we see them sometimes, you know, when we are out and about, but we don't know them. But now we put them in context, and I think hopefully now you will use, you know, your words such as canal and la turbera, the bog, or as Nina said, el pantano, you know, in her hometown we can see them. What do we have? Nina, muchas gracias, muy útil y divertido. No, thank you, Nina, for coming. And Carolyn, it was good to see you. It was good to see you. Thank you for joining today. Jean, Lynn, thank you for all of you for your time. And if you are new, of course, I might send you a message to say hello, you know, and if you are interested in lessons, of course, you can let me know as well. We can talk about it. Have a great day, and I'll see you in our next lesson. Bye bye, girls. Good morning and happy learning.